Well, it's our first week back. We thought we were going to have everybody here from like
Right.
vacations
We're on a
and whatever.
rotation.
Yeah. And Chris is out, unfortunately, today because he had real business called, law
Yeah.
enforcement business at that.
Like an
So
emergency. Yeah.
Godspeed and safety to you, Christopher.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to have Scott back, though. You can hear his voice. He's back
Yes.
from his homeland
Travel.
and things along those lines. But both of us got some traveling in. I went back to Chicago, which is not my homeland. It's go back to see my folks. It was nice to stay with them and stay whatever.
Right.
See my sister and just some old haunts there. Like when I mean by old haunts, it's like patio, the restaurant, and or
Right.
Portillo's, food that I can't get down here.
Uh-huh.
Giordano's and the pizzas and stuff like that. We also went to my wife's home parish, which is the church that the Pope would come, one of the few churches that the Pope would come and do a mass in if he came to the United States. And Queen of All Saints is a beautiful, beautiful church in the suburb area. It's not a suburb, it's like the neighborhood. I call it a suburb because it reminds me of a suburb.
It's a neighborhood, right?
It's a neighborhood, Saugnash, and the church is unbelievably beautiful. The inside of it is unbelievable, like old school, like Holy Spirit kind of stuff. As soon as you walk in, it was amazing. And oddly enough, as outsiders, we were asked to bring up the gifts. Like it's a Saturday afternoon mass. So the guy comes up and he goes, "Is anybody interested in bringing up the gifts?" And I'm like, look at Carrie because like she's the.
This and you looked down immediately. Looked down.
And I knew we were back in Chicago. And he goes, "Well, when I'm done with the basket, you can follow me back to the bag." I was like, "We are
with the
in
bag.
Chicago, and we're at All Saints." And we brought up the gifts, and it was really kind of cool. But honestly, the coolest thing I did was this with my sons is we got to go back to the United Center. And I only go to the United Center for white privilege events like hockey games and Rush concerts.
Yeah.
I had not been to a concert.
Also like a church, an amazing church service.
Totally an amazing church experience. The Holy Spirit of rock filled me when we were in there. But dude, I had not been to a concert in 25 years. And I was like, all right, what's this going to be like? Can you remember like your younger day concert experiences?
Right. Even concerts in your 50s are different than concerts totally in your 20s.
And when the median age of the audience is about 55, you're going to see some things differently at a concert like Rush. First and foremost, they're the kindest men you could possibly imagine. The opening of the show was like literally like a wave of like emotion and shit like that. Because if you listen to Rush, you get into it. I know people think Rush is really dorky music, but it is so orchestral and is so like technical and so like these guys are such great musicians that you're like literally overwhelmed by it. Like I've been to concerts where you go and you see like an orchestra and people kind of sit there and listen to the music and enjoy it and clap when it's over. That's kind of what it was like, but just a lot more energy of like rock with Rush. And like most of the people didn't stand up because they probably had hip problems or knee problems or things like that. Anyway, we were in the upper tier, like the third tier, and we had really good seats so we could see. And one of the things I saw was literally like a lot of walkers, a lot of people with canes coming up. I was
like, so many handicap seats.
Right. Like, we live a lot. We are the working man, like the song says. You're going to have some aches and pains at our age. But then a dude must have brought his mother. There was a woman that was like 80 years old coming to see Rush. They have no opening act. They do like 2 sets. The whole thing's like 3 hours, and it's like really, really great. And
their opener is actually like they tell you to go pee before the show opens.
Funny that you should say that because between the 2 sets, there's nice orderly lines. There's no problems. There's no, first and foremost, it's the inversion of a normal sporting event where like when you go to a sporting event and your wife's like, I go to the bathroom. I'm like, I'll see you in 2 hours.
Right. The girls' lines.
Complete opposite at a Rush concert. Everybody's waiting in the men's line. And if it's 55 and over, it's the trickle that you're waiting on until like you get to the urinal and you're like, I've been sitting on this thing for 45 minutes. My prostate is completely blown up. There was a lot of that. And the lines for the guys' bathrooms were crazy. But just before I got to my point, out of the corner of my eye, I see this little bit of an older dude come up. He's got some longer, stringy hair. He looked a little bit like that Native American that cried when he saw the litter. From that commercial, that guy. I think it actually might have been that guy.
Yeah, could be.
But he comes up and he opens his jacket, like it's like this like black, like Rambo looking army jacket that he's wearing. And he pulls out this bottle, and I'm thinking, oh, he must be dumping out some rancid beer or some shit like that. No, it was his colostomy bag. And he was
Oh,
clearing out the
damn.
colostomy bag. I had never seen that at a concert before, and I was like, oh man, this is podcast worthy. But the dude, like it, and honestly, a colostomy bag, you would think it would like kind of clean out pretty quickly. No, it doesn't. I've never had one. I'm not familiar with the process,
Right.
but I thought it would be a little bit more convenient. Like it's on the
Most people,
outside.
you're hearing the pee stream, but you're hearing some type of glug
Right,
type
right. And
noise, like somebody's emptying a gallon of milk.
that's exactly what it was, because I was like, well, maybe it was beer or whatever. I don't want to, I don't want to, age discriminate. I mean, that'd be
Right.
so hypocritical of me. But I got out there, and when I smelled it, I was like, oh yeah, that's rancid piss that's been sitting in that bag for a while. It was like, whew. It's, oh my god! Even after the
Wow, what an amazing concert review.
But dude, seriously, I would say to anybody, even if you're not a Rush fan, go see Rush once in your lifetime, or just watch one of their videos on YouTube or something like that. These two guys are 72 years old. Alex Lifeson and Geddy Lee are up on stage at 72 years old, just bringing it still. Because I'm like, oh man, I'm kind of getting too old for law enforcement. And then I see these guys up there, and it was their fourth show over 7 days in Chicago, and they're touring the country. The female drummer they got from Germany that is, filling in for, the role that probably the best rock drummer that ever existed, Neil Peart. She did a great job. Unbelievable. There's 4 people on that stage recreating all of that music, and you're just sitting there in the audio and the visual. It was a great experience. And I'm sitting next to my sons. Tim's 15 and Maddie's 18, and we're surrounded by these old guys, and this old codger and Birkenstocks and socks is talking to Maddie about music, and I was just like, man, this is awesome. It was so cool. And you came outside, and everybody was orderly, walking nice to their cars rather slowly, and things like that. But the bottom line, it was like really no problems, nothing.
A lot of compression socks.
Yeah, right. Nothing threatening in that sense. A lot of good times, but it was fun, man. You got you were a Rush dork with me all along the way.
For sure. I if it had not been for going out of the country, I would have tried to go. I'm there with you, and I'm sure the crowd there, trying to age myself too, I'd probably be like, man, I guess we really are around this age of people that are still rocking.
You would have been like Kramer at Del Boca Vista, hitting on the Aquasizer instructor.
I would have had to dig out some nice cargo shorts or something, and really.
Yeah, right.
And did they start the concert at like 4 p.m? So it was
no, they were
not a normal nighttime start.
I forget what time it was supposed to start.
The early bird,
7:30 or something like that, which is it's kind of late. Definitely, they came out and they did some great sets. They did all their knowns and a lot of the instrumentals. Like set 2 opened with 2112.
Yeah.
So how that's like a 20-minute song.
Yeah, and it's like a story. It's a story.
Crushed it. And they finished in Chicago with, I thought it was only appropriate, with Working Man. I was like, oh yeah, they did an encore. They came back out. They did a song that was not known as well, but then they finished with Working Man. They finished the second set with Tom Sawyer, which everybody, Tom Sawyer. But it was great, man. They did a lot of
tour shirts.
Oh yeah, I got a tour shirt. I'm not wearing it right now. I think I'm just gonna keep it in like a shadow box. I don't want to wear it. I mean, I don't want to ruin it. You know what I mean? It's like so cool. But it was like really was. Go ahead.
Yeah, the boys are like, "What's this thing? What's this round thing?" It's a Rush hemorrhoid donut.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like I've been sitting so long.
Right. And they were walking around selling prunes and stuff like that. Yeah, prunes.
Hey, prune guy.
Hey, prune guy. Hey, over here. Hey, got your prunes. The basket of prunes. No, it was great, dude. It was an unbelievable experience. I've been to the UC a couple times, well, more than a couple times. I've seen a lot of great things. Like the greatest basketball player of all time, and maybe I think basketball team of all time. I saw there. Plenty of hockey greats moments. But Rush, I think, is now topping it all. Like you're looking at all those banners. I'm like, they need to raise the Rush banner up in here too. Like they need to come back for that. It was, dude, it's awesome. Like I want to go see him again. It was that good. Like I'm not, me, but like I'm not a crowd guy. And it was great, man. That was one of the better experiences.
That's awesome.
I'd probably say my lifetime. It was really cool to be there with my sons, like passing the torch like this.
Yeah.
Like
passing it down a generation.
Yeah, and those guys as musicians, like I play a drum, I get it, but like you just watch these people and you're just like, this is awesome. These are and they're Canadians too. They're so nice. They're like, thank you so much, Chicago. There's no F-bombs or anything. They Geddy Lee maybe cursed one time, I think, for some reason, and it was awesome. It was like really great.
Nobody's
Nice.
yelling at them about the smoke from the forest fires or anything. It's like everybody's
Exactly.
just getting along.
Speaking of smoke, somebody was definitely, it must have been a vape or something. I think you can
Oh,
smoke
yeah,
weed through a vape now.
the
You could
weed.
totally smell it. And I was like smelling it and I'm like, all right, is this a moment that I turn to my kids and I'm like, do I explain it to them like the birds and the bees spoke? And I was just like, wait a minute, this is 2026. I turned to look
I don't
at it.
think you can go to a concert anymore, honestly, without smelling weed. I mean, I know
Yeah,
they
right.
do bag checks and all this, but it's
Right.
like everybody's got vapes and they're tearing it up in these
But probably
concerts.
most of these people were smoking it for medicinal purposes anyway.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They,
Right.
their glaucoma and shit. It
Right.
was legit. You know what I mean? Like anyway, they were selling it at the UZ. Anyway, but it was a good time. Yeah,
You
really
could
good time.
smoke it for bunions now.
Yeah,
It's
right. Yeah, right.
bunions.
Any little aches and pains. But yeah, your trip though, man. Talk about a lifetime
Oh my
thing. Oh my
God.
god,
Yeah. Yeah.
going to
Seriously.
Norway.
Like,
We
I mean,
talked about it on the
it's,
last show.
yeah, Norway. It was Norway 2026 for our family, and this was one that we my mom had actually been working on for years, and God bless her, she helped put this whole trip together, and it was a family trip with me and Chrissy and the kids, my brother, his wife and kids, and my mom. 9 of us, which can get, you'd think like, man, that's going to be real Griswold's European vacation kind of thing, right? But we did it through a tour company, Trafalgar Tours,
Oh,
very Scandinavian for anyone
right.
that's heard out there. Shout out to them. Very good, excellent travel company. And it was a tour. We started and we flew to Oslo and toured several different cities around the country and came back and flew out of Oslo. But it was pretty awesome because we do have family history there. And one of the stops there, we did actually have dinner at a farm that was only about an hour from where my great grandfather is from on my mom's side, and we're able to, didn't get to like any specific locations, but Bergen, Norway is a place where we've got a lot of family history there. So that kind of stuff, and just obviously the scenery, fjords. You can't be in Norway and not see a fjord, and boats and trains and buses, and we were all over the place, man. It was incredible
Yeah,
trip.
yeah. Did you guys, just real quick questions? Are you going to sell on Facebook Marketplace the family reunion T-shirts that you guys did for it?
Yeah.
So no, it's like there's no chance to get any of
Well,
those.
I just brought the shirts with and was trying to get them printed there so they were in Norwegian because
Yeah,
I
right,
wanted to
right,
make
right,
sure that the translation
right.
was
And
perfect. And
make it
we
legit too. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
It's
I just
back to the
bought 9
mothership.
high vis yellow shirts on
Yeah,
Amazon and brought them with. I just
yeah,
figure I could find a shirt shop or something there that they could
yeah. We're quick pressing it out for you, like the Jersey Shore. Where's the
vel-
boardwalk?
welcome. Like, okay, I know that part, but
Yeah, beyond
uh,
that.
you don't know what you're going to get there for food because it's like kind of like when we went to Ireland. You're not really thinking like you hear about food there, and it's like fish, obviously, right, and different things that they have. But actually, the food was excellent. There's salmon's a big export from Norway, and they make a lot of money on that, and it's incredible. And we ate a lot of different places all around the country. They do some farming there, and their industries. It is interesting because I'm always ragging on the electric vehicles and all that kind of nonsense, but they are very progressive when it comes to the electric vehicles and green energy and all that kind of stuff. And it is a little funny that which I did not know. And so I feel like you'll appreciate this because I actually learned some history. But they started drilling for oil in Norway in the 60s, and they make trillions of dollars, and it's all mostly exported. And they've done a crazy good job of building all their infrastructure to support all these things like these electric cars and green initiatives and blah blah blah. Unlike the US, where just says, oh, we're going to start doing this now, when we've been relying on fossil fuels for the last 150 years. But the you know the roads, the tunnels, actually we actually rode some of their public transportation, and I was like, wow, it's super clean. Nobody's trying to stab me or
Yeah, nobody's
steal my
naked.
iPhone.
Yeah,
Or
right,
I
right.
mean, it was incredible. But yeah, great trip, beautiful country. um it is kind of funny though, because we had a tour guide, and he was fluent in Norwegian, but he was actually from Denmark, which is Copenhagen, which is like just an hour southeast there, basically, of like Oslo, or a couple hours by drive. And he was talking a lot about the people of Norway. And I did notice that, and I've only been to Europe 2 times, so I don't have a lot of experience, but I did notice that people, they're very nice when you interact with them, but they're not big on the social cues of like they do say please and thank you. And we actually, said a little bit of that. We probably sounded like total tourists, but they're not big on the like, hey, excuse me, you're stepping around someone in a line in a store, or you're, like that kind of stuff, right? Like it is just transit. Like, yeah, it's like the weird, like you're walking through these, of course we went in a million souvenir shops and stores, right? And it's like people do that weird thing like Seinfeld where they just sidle up on you and they're just like looking at you and they just expect you to move out of their way. Like they don't say anything or they just kind of like come and bust through like where you're standing and you're like, here you'd be like, hey bro, like you're burning up on somebody, like, why are you chest shoving me? But you're like, oh wait, no, these guys are just, this is just actually how they are. And he also explained, which explains probably a lot about me and my family. They're not big on the small talk and the small interactions and chit chat with people. They're like, it's all business. People don't really like, you talk to the people that you're with, or, maybe the group that you're interacting with, but like people standing around and they don't like to talk to people. They want to be kind of by themselves and do their own thing, not in a mean way, but that's just their culture. And the funny thing that the guy said to us was they have a saying in Norway that Norwegians are happiest when they're at the top of a mountain by themselves.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like,
it's like basically, it sounds like, to me, it sounds like heaven. It's like,
and I'm like, not? I'm really learning a lot about myself, not just family history, but the way I behave the way I do. And we laugh because we're all kind of like that, right? In my family, it's like, I love being around my family. I love being around my friends, but we are also big on like that. I'm just going to go sit outside by myself.
Yeah. Right.
Time, or I'm going out to the garage to fuck around with something on my car and I just don't want people to bother me. And so you're like, wow. And I was joking with the kids because I said, you have the best of both. You get the Norwegian and the Irish that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, but the problem that you have, like, this is where God plays cruel tricks on people. Not cruel, but like, he balances your world.
Right.
He, like, you are like a lighthouse for certain groups of people to come and find you. So it's not like you won't talk to people. It's just that you won't talk to them unless they come to you and talk to you. But then when you do talk to them. You actually do.
Right.
Like, I'm a little bit more like, like I said, I don't talk, like Chrissy and I are of the whole, like, do not want to talk. No, do not want to converse in the Uber car thing.
The ass out hug.
Right. Where you won't do that. You will actually talk to people. So like, I mean, again, that's also an evolutionary improvement, because the last time that Vikings had to talk to anybody else that weren't like them, they were cutting their heads off and conquering them. And that was generally called the Irish. You know what I mean? So it's definitely some progression there, I'd say. Wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm the more domesticated, integrated U.S. version that slowly is.
Yeah, right. A little like fake sweetener in there, like yellow number 5, and things less pure. There's some side effects to that.
Well, and they did talk about, the Vikings, and you think about all that, and everybody, a lot of people just have this sense of Vikings that's like everybody was a Viking and that's all they did. And actually, some of these people, I did find out that Viking helmets did not have horns. That's just been some
guys break his neck.
Yeah, that's really, but anyway, the Vikings thing, there were some people that was like their primary thing, but some of these people, it was like their side hustle. Like, hey, I'm a farmer, but I got to go do some, pillaging later on this season. I'm going to get called up.
It's like you were like a reservist. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's like Viking Reserve
and the Viking Corps.
Mm-hmm. So a guy like me would be there.
Corps is spelled with a K, I think. It's just
right. So it'd be me. It's like, hey, I'm doing some landscape, and I'm like, all right, I got to wrap this up because I got to get out of here, and we're shooting over to Ireland to kill some people and drag some women back here and whatever.
Right. But to the oil thing, though, what I think would be kind of cool would be like if, you took those Viking longships, and you just took a bunch of like standard what you thought Vikings were to the Straits of Hormuz, and they're just charging these Hutus. They're trying to blow up ships. They're just coming in there, cutting their heads off and bringing them on ship, and they're just laughing about it while they're drinking mead and stuff like that. That would be kind of cool, like because they're so apparently they're making some decent money off of oil, economically. I'm sure that they're an EU. Are they an EU nation?
No, they're not.
Good.
And they so they make trillions from the oil, yet a gallon of gas over there right now is about the equivalent of about $7.50 US.
Okay.
And they're very big on subsidizing the electric cars and Teslas. I mean, there's 1 million Teslas there, and they sell them there on purpose because buying these Teslas gets you these other things where you get discounted electricity for them and chargers to put in your house and all that kind of stuff.
Bastard Elon Musk working these things out with
right, working these Norwegians over there.
Vikings, those Norwegians.
Like where's my e-powered longboat?
Yeah, like they the bumper stickers that say "I bought it before I knew what a bastard he was."
Right.
It's just like, then get rid of it, you chicken shit. Walk if you're that principled.
Right. Get a bike.
Get a bike, douchebag. Thanks for advertising. You have no spine.
But people over there, they manage better with public transportation. I mean, not people that are out in the boonies necessarily. I mean, you still need farm equipment and vehicles that can get you places. Like it's not all sunshine.
And the terrain there isn't exactly like fjords are like vertical. Like when the icebergs came through and carved up that area of the world. Like when you just look at pictures of it, you're like, look at the slope on that. It's just like, I mean, it's like almost like a skyscraper of the ground, right? Like of the earth, kind of thing. You look at that and you're like, wow, this is amazing.
I mean, we took some family pictures that literally looked like it was AI in the background.
Right.
You're like, this doesn't even look real. But
I was imagining that you, Eric, and Ryan would have been captured by Vincent Price, and you would have been stuck in some cave because you found some Viking artifact that you're trying to get rid of. It's like the Brady Bunch. And somehow,
of course, I'm like all these places that we're going to look for souvenirs because you got to be a tourist and buy souvenirs, obviously, right? And our big thing is like buying ornaments for the Christmas tree because then you go back and look and go, oh my God, remember this trip, And I'm like yelling at Chrissy and the kids, like that one's made in China. Put that one back.
Right. No chance.
I'm like, look, they're like, but it has cool stuff on it. I'm like, no.
It's not the point.
I'm trying to be some purist that I only want Norwegian crafted things. But the other thing I did bring home with me that is interesting over there is they make like whale meat into sausage and reindeer sausage.
Reindeer made whale meat though?
Really? Yes. Wow. So we tasted it. I'm like, it's not bad. I mean, I guess
it tastes like chicken.
Right. But everything that tastes like shit over there, you just put like these lingonberries and raspberries on it. So you're like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, it tastes like this
is better homes and garden. Like this kind of meal.
No awesome. Shit, this left's as good when you smear berries and sugar all over it. I'm like,
right. Oh my God. Well, yeah. I mean, I did Europe for 4 years, and I would recommend it to anybody. Like I got to go on the government's dime in the Army. And, you really want to learn a lot about us, go to the places where we came from. You know what I mean? Like it's amazing. And how, honestly, you want to talk about diversity, just even among like white colonizers, things are so different in Europe that, it's amazing, like how close they are to each other, and a border separates them, and the cultures are vastly different. It's amazing. And Scandinavia, although like everybody thinks it's like, oh, well, they're all like Vikings up there. Well, do not compare a Swede to a Finn or a Finn to a Norwegian, things like that. They're going to take great offense to it, even though they just changed
or
the colors.
Dane like to take a lot of the credit for being the majority of the Vikings. So there's a lot going on.
And honestly, they didn't really help the rest of us with their color schemes on their flags. It was just like, they all look the same at least. And the color schemes,
or they're just like the inverted colors of the other ones. Like,
right. So you get the wrong, like when you're giving a guy a cupcake for his birthday, you put the wrong flag on it.
Right.
This is the Finnish flag.
Right. I went to give him some cupcakes, but it was actually the flag you have to put up when you're scuba diving.
Right. Right,
I'm like,
right,
oh,
right.
this is embarrassing.
But it sounds like it was a lot of fun, man. It
It
sounds like it was
was
great. It definitely,
amazing.
did you use your Trump passport yet with his image on it?
No,
No, you didn't use that. It's get him in there.
but I was there, telling people that how much money they could spend to get that mega visa or whatever he
Right,
has,
yeah, right, right.
the Trump fast pass
Right.
that you could get to come here.
And he's putting tariffs on them so they could get them because they're not contributing to NATO on the level that they should be. It's a really complex shit here right now. So
right. And of course, I was told not to get into any political discussions with anyone.
No,
and I'm like,
no.
come on. I'm
Norway.
not. I
Nobody wants to
didn't.
talk to me anyway.
Yeah, I just right. Yeah, this is perfect. No one wants to talk to you or hear from you, and they only simply want to tell you where you need to go, and then they just turn away, ignore you. Right. I'm like, this is great.
Did you run into any Norwegian coppers over there? Did you talk to any cops?
I didn't talk to any. You don't really see a lot, honestly. They do carry guns, which is cool. At least I saw they're carrying guns. And we were in Bergen, and there was like something going on there. I don't know if it was like an event or something, but where you actually saw some cops standing out on the street. It's funny because like they look young, like these young looking cops, and they're talking in Norwegian and whatever. But you could tell that they didn't. I'll give them credit, like sticking with that Norwegian theme. They were just given that vibe of "Don't fucking come near me,"
Right.
One person went up to talk to him, and it was funny because actually, when we were walking through there, one of the other people on the tour was like, well, "Yeah, I was gonna go up and ask if I could take a picture with them, but they didn't really seem like they wanted to talk to anybody." And this person was walking right next to Chrissy, and she goes, "Don't worry about it. When my husband was a cop, he was a dick." And the lady's like, "Oh, okay."
You were practicing for the entire flight, saying in Norwegian, you were trying to say, "I didn't do it. I didn't do it," or it was him. Like, and Norwegian cops are like, "Yeah, we haven't heard that. Yeah, we haven't heard that before." Kind of thing. It's like, what? I know. Like, I mean, it's like, do you think the Norwegian coppers are getting the level of autism awareness training that maybe we're getting, or is it just like a cultural norm to not want to be around people and not want to be touched?
It's hard to say. They probably they're actually their training is probably the opposite, where they're told their form of de-escalation is just turning and walking away.
Because that's what, and it doesn't. Why do we have to train that? The chief's like,
right. And the training takes 3 minutes. They walk up to somebody, and then they tell them like where to go, and then they just turn around, walk away, and get in their car and drive off.
And everybody's cool with it. It's like you almost be like, what do we have to train them how to go to the bathroom and drink water too? I mean, what are you talking about?
Right. Yeah, their training's easy.
Right. Well, but here in the States, though, we've got some things that, talk about crowds and things that are going on with people, crowding our work and getting involved in law enforcement on a level that they feel that they need to. Congress was really upset about January 6th, as it should be. And a lot of people were about, they stormed the building to take kind of back what, this refined legal process happens up in this building. And I couldn't help but to think, I was like, but now they know what it feels like to be a cop every single day. When somebody wants to stop and question you as to why you made a traffic stop, or why you're making contact with this person, or why you're even just conversing with somebody that they think maybe you've historically harassed. And, a lot of our political leaders, as we've talked about, have maybe, helped to foster this mentality of like interfering with tense, rapidly evolving situations. Chris and I spoke about it a little bit with traffic or vehicle assaults in the last episode. And Ohio now, and I think Florida has done it, and there's probably several other ones out there that we don't necessarily know about. Ohio just enacted a law of a 15-foot rule of that when a police officer is doing their business, actually it's pretty obvious that they're doing their business, and it's, let's say, a non-consensual encounter where maybe force is being used or you're taking somebody into custody, that you have to stay back at a mandatory 15-foot gap. We want to talk a little bit about that on the heels of Scott coming from a country that like probably just assumes that that's the right thing to do anyway, even if you're not a cop. But Scott, you want to talk a little bit about that? Give us your thoughts on that rule.
Well, yeah. So this is, like Shaun said, is coming out of Ohio, and they've essentially created this law that they've set it at a 15-foot buffer working around first responders. And what they're saying is, again, we're not talking about you're a cop standing on the street somewhere, or you're by your car, or you're doing whatever, and someone walks up to you and asks you for directions or whatever. We're talking about the stuff that you're seeing every single day, where cops are trying to do something in a critical moment, and someone is essentially coming in to interfere with them. Because, as you all know in this profession, that when you're in the heat of, whether it's putting somebody in hand, and it might not be a fight, even it could just be something as simple as putting somebody into handcuffs, or putting someone in the back of a police car and they have family friends there, or that want to debate the situation with you, or they want to jaw with you about how this is bullshit and whatever, and you give them some instruction to say, hey, get back or stay over there. And typically throughout our career, it was, you tell them, hey, get out of the road, go over there on the sidewalk, I'll talk to you after I'm done, I'll let you know. And it seems like for a long time that was a reasonable way that these things were happening, right? The people that didn't want to stir up any more shit, they might be pissed off, they might be running their mouth, but if you tell them, hey, listen, just stay over there and I'll tell you what's going on when we're done, but I'm giving you an order to do that. Now, where we worked a long time ago and we had an ordinance back then that was essentially an interfering with a police officer, that you could not, by city ordinance, interfere. And it was a pretty broad, thing of interfering, but essentially those kinds of things, like, don't come up to me while I have a taser in my hand, say I have, a handcuffs in my hand, right? A dog, right? A canine in my hand, and I am actively doing something with someone. Stay the fuck away. Like, and 99% of people know that. And that's why they're talking about this law, because what they're saying is law enforcement should be able to establish a distance, and I shouldn't have to be looking over my shoulder while I just fought with somebody and arrested them, put handcuffs on them. I shouldn't have to look over my shoulder that somebody's going to try to break a bottle over my head while I'm in the middle of doing that.
Right. Which happens a lot more than people want to think now.
And we see it every day. Right. Yeah. Because people, unfortunately, like you said, because politicians and lawmakers, they embolden people to, like, because it's your right to question what the police do. Sure, it is your right to, and it's your right to video what they do. Everything's on video now. We get it. Everybody wears body cams, right? Like, there's nothing being missed. When you're taking video of whatever it is that you think you have to make a case about, that cop's wearing a camera too. Like, and there's one in the car. There's cameras everywhere. So you can't go with that anything more of like, well, they're telling us not. And we saw this a lot early on with the, when iPhones and things came out, because before there wasn't any of that kind of stuff, and it's always been said, like, yeah, the public has a right to watch and see and record, in a sense, depending on the circumstances of what law enforcement is doing, to be transparent. But they're making these laws because police are tired of people coming up to them and putting their hands on cops when they're in the middle of doing something else, or threatening them, or threatening violence against them. And you shouldn't have to endure that when you are in the act of performing a lawful arrest or whatever it is that you're doing in that moment.
And I know, and this is no lie, like during the course of my career, like, you work in any kind of a bar district where you've got younger people intoxicated, things that are going on. Like, I'm highly educated because I'm young and I'm in college and I think I know everything about the world. I mean, this is just like, things that I've seen where, you're in there, you're exactly something, you feel somebody tugging on your vest or your belt and you're like, what is this? You turn around, it's a civilian. It's somebody, like, thinking that they have a right to pull you off of a situation without ever knowing what's going on. And, like, you think to yourself, would you do that to a doctor that was performing unnecessary surgery on somebody at a certain point? Would you would you do that, like, in any, like, circumstance, like where a mechanic's, like, taking an engine out of a car? Would you, like, you're doing that wrong, let me just
run up and grab a firefighter who's spraying water on a fire and tell him he's not doing it right?
Right, exactly. I mean, and the things that go along with that are kind of crazy. Now, a lot of people point to this as being a slippery slope of, like, well, say I'm at the 15-foot mark and now the officers that are maybe not involved in the arrest show up, are trying to move a crowd back. Is that now 15 feet from the incident itself? Is it 15 feet of the first officer there? And people are saying, well, that's going to be, a violation of people's rights to record and this transparency of government and things like that. None of these laws, I think, have that intent to do that. It's just that, just like everybody else, we need a safe work environment So things don't get worse it's not so much for us. Some of that we do understand we have to incorporate. It's to make it safer for you, because what people don't understand about force and the legality of what we have to do to get something under control, we have to establish control. If a crowd is now coming in on that, but we have somebody that's done something to the point where we probably need to take him into custody because we don't have him identified, they say to us, oh, couldn't you figure out who it was later on? We could, but it's a whole lot harder to do when you don't have the identification of the person, involved in that process. Like a simple interaction with somebody trying to get into a bar, let's say, underage, happens all the time. It's been happening since the dawn of time, and they set regulations on how old you can be to drink. That ID is not that person. It's their image, but it's not that person. So if they give you that ID from the bouncer or they give it to you, you have to clearly establish who it is that you're dealing with. So one, don't get a warrant for somebody that isn't who they say they are. And that person has to deal with clearing their name. And that I've done with that thousands of times, I think, throughout my career, is the idea of getting a person identified properly. If they decide, well, I'm not going to tell you who that is because we're like, I know this is a fake ID. Who are you? Who you really are? Oh, no, that's me. That's not me. That's not me. Because the first thing when you ask somebody their birthday is they tell you it because they know it.
Right.
When a person's got a fake ID, they don't know the number that's on the fake ID, all too common. And they don't know what the driver's license number is or the last four or something like that. When somebody goes, well, spell me your last name. You've been spelling your last name for quite some time. Okay, well, now this turns into, all right, well, I'm going to take you into custody because you're not cooperating with me or whatever. You got one chance, two chances, three chances, three strikes, you're out. I'm going to take you into custody and we're going to identify you through booking or whatever. And then by the time the handcuffs go on and the arrest has already been exacted, the person finally comes clean for you. Well, some of those can turn violent because the person wants to resist, run away, they're intoxicated and not thinking clearly. Well, the crowd forms around you thinking that you're harassing this poor kid that just wanted to go into a bar and drink underage. Again, I don't have him properly identified. At what point do we just say, all right, forget it, it's not worth it? We can, but we do that with everybody. Before you know it, everybody's committing crimes. We don't know who's doing what. That becomes problematic for us in the long term because it's like now everybody wants to interfere. And now what we've taken, just something as simple as an underage drinking ticket, now has turned into a use of violence force against us because the person that walked by didn't know what was going on and decided to insert themselves in the middle of it. Now we're fighting with that person. And we've got to control the other person that we've tried to take into custody, which makes our responsibility. People don't understand the magnitude of all of these things. They just think it's something, it was an underage drinking ticket. What happened? But then it turned into a resisting arrest. And then it turned into aggravated resisting arrest because you started to try to kick me because you're intoxicated. And that's males and females alike as suspects. And now somebody comes by and sees us trying to get this person under control and they want to come into the street where we're standing and we're dealing with this person and they want to now hit us from the other side. Now it's starting to turn into a mild situation that's short of a mob action type situation. We have to get control one way or the other. And too many people feel that they need to insert themselves in that situation without what's going on. Body cameras have really helped us with a lot of these things. Cameras, iPhones are honestly in a lot of ways what I think when these sex robots are finally invented and they're getting real close for them, what they're going to do to the prostitution and pleasure industry, iPhones have done to the media. The iPhones and cameras like Ring doorbells are now how the media gets its vast majority of its footage for its sensationalized stories that are taken out of context. And there's no regulation of that in any way whatsoever. I'm going to give an image to the media that they're going to much malign without whatever facts associated with it. And we're dealing with all of this still as a society. I started recording this situation when the officer had the person in the armbar, but I didn't record any of the situation that led up to that. And immediately everybody just assumes what the lie is. And it's totally mismanaged. So these rules, I kind of agree with. They're going to be ebb and flow in the courts with these things. Like these are constitutional, they're not constitutional. Some states will probably abuse it. Some officers will probably abuse it. But the society is completely abusing why a lot of us would probably say, I kind of agree with this.
And if you look at what this is designed for, again, this isn't designed for the person who walks up to have a question about something. There are people out there that just, live in this kind of la la land that will walk up to an officer on a traffic stop. They have nothing to do with it that want to ask you a question about something. And 99% of the time on those, you can tell people, hey, can you stand over there for me? I mean, I'm talking about people who are totally uninvolved with this. They just don't have the wherewithal to realize maybe this isn't the best time to ask a police officer a question, but you tell them, hey, I can certainly answer that question for you, but let me finish my business right here, whether I'm standing next to a car or I have somebody out of a car or whatever it is that I'm doing, then I will come talk to you. Same goes with people who are hey, I'm the friend or the mom, the parent that shows up on this traffic stop or shows up at this incident and says, well, I want to know what's going on. Same thing. Stand over there and I will tell you what's going on. And yes, we started well before, like I said, the days of iPhones and cameras, and everybody has a camera. Hey, fine. You can video me all day long, right? I'm not doing anything wrong.
Public domain, they call it.
I have a camera on me that records what it is that I'm doing. So I'm already under those guidelines of being on camera. So you standing over there to film it, I don't give a shit. But what it is it's for these instances where people have been emboldened to come up and insert themselves into these things. And I liken it to literally, they can call it 15 feet, they can call it 12 feet. I would almost call it an arm's length to maybe 2 arms lengths. If somebody is coming up and getting confrontational with you and is within an arm's length of you, they don't care about consequences. They are ready to challenge your authority. They are ready to challenge that arrest or whatever it is that you're making, and they are not worrying about the consequences. And when we went to the academy, there was, you talk about just command presence and defensive tactics and just however we interacted with people in the public. You would never let someone just march up to you and get nose to nose with you, because there was just so many tactical issues that created. I mean, somebody could headbutt you, somebody could grab your vest, they could do a lot of shit. And we would tell then, when we were doing stuff at the academy in scenarios, you put your hand out and I'll put my hand out and I'll tell you to stand back an arm's length away from me. And then people will jaw at you and say, no, you can't touch me and fuck you, this, that. I could say, no, you can talk to me, but you're going to stand this far away from me.
And I can touch you to do it.
Right.
Because I can articulate
why it is that I'm doing. Just like when we talk about how important distances are for things like edged weapons and using tasers and all the things that we do, distances always have a factor in whatever it is that you're doing.
Everything,
right.
Yeah.
So this is what they're doing here is for the people who think they can. You're putting my friend in handcuffs and I'm going to come up and try to like grab your arm. No, you're not. Right. And if you do, you're going to get charged with a felony.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And so I think it's great. And again, people are going to challenge the distance and they're saying, well, people are going to claim that they don't have a right to film. Of course you do. And the technology that everybody carries around with them in their pocket nowadays is 10 times what it was 20 years ago. You can get all the video and whatever content it is that you want to put on the internet from 15 plus feet away, because you don't need to be, nobody that is told that doesn't need to be in that 15-foot range of whatever is happening needs to stand their ass over on the sidewalk or whatever it is and wait till this situation is resolved, and then we can talk to them.
And then you have the people that want to like just trivialize the whole thing, that want to interfere. There's like, how am I supposed to know what 15 feet is or whatever? Here's what it is. It's what the officer interprets at the time. If the interpretation is way too liberal, you can get that officer in trouble later on. Like 15 feet, folks, let me just express it to you. Everybody's legs, they're not the same distance, but if you take a long stride and then another long stride and then a third stride, that's probably a good safe distance to consider what 15 feet might be. And again, if when in doubt, back up. Is what I'd say. When in doubt, back up, because at the end of the day, you don't want to end up getting arrested for it, because this is what the case is. And until this is thrown out by, like, I think the courts, if it is, I mean, here's the flip side of it, folks. If it is thrown out by the courts and the courts are saying, no, this is completely acceptable behavior that officers have to consider with these conditions, and it's no different than like, well, now, people will be walking up and helping firefighters fight fires with their garden hoses. And, like, when does it stop? Right. I want to help the mailman, who's a pseudo government entity, deliver the mail today because they keep putting the wrong one in the wrong mailbox. You think like, where does it stop? I know this sounds a little ridiculous, but in the same sense, it's like, if the courts throw it out and say, yeah, this is not right, people can do this, guess what cops are going to do? Like we said all along, nothing. And the criminals are going to rule the day, because they're going to go, I'm not going to go in there to deal with this situation. If the bars are having a problem, or this issue, it's a low level offense, and but these low level offenses that are not addressed turn into bigger and better crime. Well, then, hey, like, people have to start supporting these things and understanding, and actually just being more respectful, like the Norwegians are, to people's personal space. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. They're a long established culture that's been around longer than most people in the United States. I mean, maybe that's a good way to look at things. Like maybe I should be respectful of this and not insert myself into something that I have no idea what's going on with, only to make it worse for the person that I'm trying to help.
Exactly. Well
There's
said.
a legal process for that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. We'll yet to see. I'm going to tell you just personally, I'm very respectful of it. Maybe it's the environment that I've worked in a lot throughout my career, both here and there. People are not respectful of space when they're drunk to begin with because they're like, "Hey man, what's going on? I love you guys. Can I tell you that I love you guys?" And they're like literally like in your face, and you're smelling like the rum or whatever it was that they were drinking. The coconut flavor is usually pretty effervescent, wouldn't you say? Like when you're doing like, is it one of the more common ones you can like immediately tell? Pina coladas, is that what they call them? It's like
more of a Captain Morgan guy.
Yeah, right. But anyway, that is something that I think is going to run its course, and I hopefully it everybody kind of respects it. Most people do. I mean, to this day, people come up to me and say, "Hey, I want to take a picture of the police. Can I do that?" And they don't understand that we're public domain. You can take a picture of us at any time that you want if we're out actually officially performing our duty.
Right.
But so many people are approaching. It's like the whole thing of like I said like earlier. Many years, like people would say, like, "Oh my God, I just want to tell you, officer, right now, I don't have my shoes on while I'm driving." Okay. Do you think I have a fetish for that? I was like, why are you telling me that? They're like, well, I thought that was against the law. It's like, no, it's not. Actually, you can drive without your feet on. Actually, some people drive better without their shoes on, without their feet on, I should say. People will say to you that I don't have my shoes on. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to let you know that. It's like, it's amazing that maybe it'll turn into one of those kind of laws. People think the 15-foot rule is real, even if it isn't.
Can't change lanes in an intersection.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I can't do that. Right. Exactly. But anyhow, but you know what? The other thing too is like from a law standpoint, I came home in a basket, like I was Moses or something floating down a river in the Nile. Like they'd like let you go out of the hospital.
Maybe we can combine those laws that you have to be 15 feet away, but it's 17 feet if you don't have shoes on.
If you don't have shoes on, right? If you're barefoot, because
there's a barefoot or some type of barefoot exemption,
or like maybe say like shoes that women would wear that provide no protection other than to like. Maybe it looks like agony to me what they were wearing, and if there's a horse involved that can completely crush your foot, maybe you have to stay like 25 feet away because the reach whatever.
Officer, did the subject were they 15 feet away and wearing shoes? And you're like, I don't recall.
Your Honor, flojos have not been clearly defined in the shoe ordinance yet, so I'm not exactly sure, but I would say no at this point. You know what I mean?
Anyway. Or your flip-flops, your favorite flip-flops.
Right. Well, that being said, we'll go ahead and wrap there. Chris, go ahead and take us home.